everyone, it's Brandy. My name is Brandy Collenborn. I'm with Brushed by Brandy. I'm a furniture painter out of Sacramento, California, and I'm a really proud Dixie Belle brand ambassador. And I'm here tonight because we've been working on this piece here. I started this last Thursday evening, and we did the first step on this. So now I'm to the second step of this piece, and my hope was in doing this that we can take a piece from very start to finish, and then at the end of this month you guys will have a full start to finish tutorial. So if you joined me last week or caught the video on replay, we cleaned this well with Dixie Belle White Lightning, and then we applied a base coat of Dixie Belle paint. You guys, if you're on, come on and let me know you can see me. Say hello. And
Cassandra says hi. She's waited all week for this.
Hi, I'm back, you guys. You get to see more of this piece, and I'm going to throw you guys for a loop tonight. It's going to be kind of interesting. I have a surprise for you, but we're also going to be giving away some Dixie Belle paint tonight. So if you guys share this post and like my page at Brushed by Brandy, and then come on and let me know you did that, and we're going to be giving some paint away at the end of this broadcast. So thank you guys so much for coming back to join me. I hope this is really valuable. So this is the piece we cleaned last week, and then if you recall, we put a base coat on it. We did a base coat on this side, and my commitment was that I'm not going to work on this piece unless I'm doing it on camera with you guys. So the only thing I've done is continue the base coat that we did around to all three sides of my piece. So you guys can see this base coat. I've got a lot of inconsistencies in my paint. It's not perfect. This is not my final look. I explained on our step last week that your base coat is really just laying your colors out, getting a feel for your color scheme. Do I like this look on my piece? It's just getting your piece some coverage. So that's all I was trying to do. Tonight we're going to lay on a second coat on this, and we're really going to perfect the blending and get this look. You'll really start to see it come together in the second coat. That's where the magic happens.
I just want to take a second and say hi, Dana.
You guys, my husband Sean is here tonight. He's helping me with comments and with cameras, so come on and tell him hi as well, and thank you for helping me. But don't pay him any compliments because I'll never hear the end of it. Okay, so what did Dana say?
Just said hi.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
Sorry, Dana.
No big deal.
He likes to only tell me the stuff that's flattering to him, I notice. So this base coat that I have on this piece that we did last week, I did in 3 colors. It's Dixie Belle in the Navy is our darkest color here. Dixie Belle Savannah Mist is the kind of medium tone that we've got here, and then drop cloth is what provided the highlight in the center. This is the side that I did. So here's what I wanted to talk about tonight. I wanted to talk about when you get a base coat on your piece, what if you don't like the look? What if you don't like the look? That's my curveball tonight. You know, what if I put my base coat on this, I don't like the look.
Apparently you didn't like that paint either.
Yeah, and I kind of did this on purpose because I wanted to talk about this. What do you do when you need to make a color change? You've got your colors all laid out on here. This is just not what you envisioned at all. So what do you do from there? And that's the question I wanted to answer. So I'm going to show you guys that tonight. So I picked another color scheme. And my color scheme is different. Let's say I put these colors on this piece, and I just feel like I want it to be a little softer, a little more feminine. You know, I don't feel like these colors are working with what I had envisioned in my head, or even what my customer had envisioned in their head. So we're going to change our color scheme. And the new color scheme I'm going to use is going to be Yankee Blue, Vintage Duck Egg, and Lemonade. So totally different colors. I mean, I'm still in the same family. If I was going from white to black or black to white, this might be a little bit different process. But I'm staying in kind of the same color family. It's still in my blues. But I'm going to change my colors now, all of a sudden on my second coat. So that's what your first coat is good for. It's good for laying out your colors and seeing, is this the look that I want for my piece? And on this piece, we're going to answer the question with, no, it's not the look I wanted. So I picked my new colors, and the way I would pick my new colors is I would look at this and say, what is it that I'm not liking? Okay, the in the Navy got a little more purpley than I thought it would be when I lightened it up. This is a little bit more dramatic. I just want it softer. So I'm going to use colors that are a little bit closer in tone to make the change to get it to where I had envisioned it. So before I do a second coat of paint, I always take a sanding sponge. This is just a 120 grit Scotch sanding sponge. These are available at the hardware store. I also have them in my Amazon shop. And I just lightly brush my piece. I'm not even gonna call it sanding because I'm not sanding. I'm just gonna brush. Literally a single pass with a sanding sponge. I'm gonna go all over my piece with this sanding sponge. And if I run my hand over this, I feel the difference. I feel this sanding sponge is just knocking down any nubs. Oh,
Careful, you lost a wheel.
I lost my wheel.
It was pointed out in the comments. I just didn't want to interrupt you.
I don't want it to fall off on camera, so I'm gonna put this back on because that would be really awful. Okay, so I just do a single pass with my sanding sponge, and I can feel with my hand the difference from where I've just done that light brush to this one here. It just really knocks down any nubs in the paint, any particles of dust that might have gotten stuck. I'll turn it sideways and come in here and get these, you know, around the moldings here. So I do a single pass with a sanding sponge on this. It's a really easy step, and it makes a big difference in your final product to just brush your piece with a sanding sponge. So tonight I'm hoping to be able to get this second coat on our whole piece. So you guys are going to see me repeat the same process a few times, but it's going to be a blending process. So I think it'll be valuable to see a few times. Now I'm just taking a damp cloth. So this is just a rag that I've spritzed with a little bit of water, just enough water that it will pick up the dust particles. I'm not trying to wash my piece. I don't want my paint wet. I just want the dust particles to attach to that damp.
Really quick, Karen Sindel says she had to pause Outlander to come watch you.
Oh, I can compete.
Yeah, I would be okay with that.
Here's what I'm going to recommend. Go watch Outlander and catch me on replay. I'm waiting for Sunday, you guys. The newest episode is coming out, and I'm hopelessly addicted. Hopelessly. I mean, I don't get this way about many television shows, but Outlander really has me. I am guilty. So the fact that you'd even consider that, I'm totally flattered.
So
Okay.
Dana wants to know, do you use your sanding sponge after your final coat,
Yes.
before you put on your top coat?
Yes. Every single coat, I will sand it down with that sanding sponge. And I'm not even going to call it sanding. I don't even like using that word because I really just brush it. I'm not sanding. You saw how easy that was. It was a single pass. I wouldn't even call it sanding. It just makes a difference in your finished product to do that one pass. So yes, I will do this again. I will do that again after my second coat. And then I will do it in between each coat of clear coat that I do as well. All right, so now we're going to lay out our new color choices over the top of these. With my color change, I'm just going to paint directly over this. And you guys will see with the coverage that Dixie Belle gets, I'm not worried about these darker colors being underneath. I'm going to be able to cover those just fine. I'm going to start with Vintage Duck Egg, which is my medium tone. This is my medium tone Vintage Duck Egg, and I have my Dixie Belle mini brush. Now what I have out tonight is I have a brush for each color. So we're doing 3 color blending, so I have 3 brushes. One's going to be dedicated to my darker color, my medium color, and my lighter color.
Can you just go over again what grit you have on that sponge?
It's a 120 grit.
Okay.
But it's a really worn 120, so it might actually be closer to a 220 grit. 120 can be a little bit coarse, so 220. But if I have old ones that have been worn down, they work great. I use them thoroughly. And then I have out a brush that's going to serve as my neutral brush or my eraser brush. And I have out a couple options you can use. I like either the Dixie Belle, oh, I grabbed the oval small by accident. I like the oval medium. So the Dixie Belle oval medium, or I also like their natural bristle brush, the larger size. It's a nice full brush. Whatever you choose, I just like a nice, full, thick brush. I'm going to correct this, you guys, because this one's a little small, and I'm going to grab the oval medium for this. Just give me just 1 second. Okay, I'm digging through my brushes. Okay, so you can see what I'm going for in my brush that's going to serve as an eraser to blend those blending lines, is I really just like a nice, full, thick brush. But I like to lay the paint on with the mini.
So if you were going to use, let's go back to sanding for a second. If you're going to sand your final coat, does it change the paint color before you top it?
You're going to get like a white haze over it. The sanding dust will make it turn white, but then when you put your clear coat on, that will disappear. you're going to kind of freak out, especially if you do it on a dark color. You know what? I have an example over here. I'll show you. Okay. This is another piece I'm working on in Dixie Belle Coffee Bean. You can see I've got this dark color. Watch what happens when I brush it with my sanding sponge. When I take this sanding sponge and brush over it, just that single pass brush like we just did on this piece. Can you guys see what it does? It turns it to white. Does that come on?
A little bit here. Tilt it. More. Right there.
Okay. So you can see on camera, it put white on the top of my paint, and you're going to kind of freak out and, oh my gosh, what did I just do? So you're going to brush that off. And then once you clear coat this, those lines will disappear. So you would brush off your dust, and then, so don't let that scare you about doing that brush with the sanding sponge in between coats.
It takes a little trust.
Yeah, trust me. I promise I kind of know what I'm doing. Okay, some of my brushes are a little damp only because I've used them. Otherwise, you can dampen your brush, and then I'm going to dip it into my vintage duck egg, and I'm going to start laying this on. Now with a second coat of paint, I find adding just the slightest bit of water just helps it glide that much easier. Your second coat will want to stick a little bit more than your first coat will. Dixie Belle is water-based paint, so water is friendly to water. So I just add a little bit of water. Okay, you can see here, I'm going over this with another color, which is Vintage Duck Egg, and it's covering that in the navy just fine. So even though I'm changing my color scheme here, I'm not having any issues with that peeking through. Like I said before, if these colors were drastically different, like you had done it in black and you want to go to white, it might take you 2 coats to cover that color change. But my colors are vaguely similar here, and the paint gets great coverage, so I'm covering those old colors just fine.
Sissy mentioned she just got her first order at Dixie Belle, and she stared at it a very long time. She's very scared.
Keep staring at it, okay? It's going to come to you. The magic happens the longer you stare at it. I'm kidding. Don't be scared of the paint, guys. It's just paint. If you guys saw me live last week with Kristana, I wasn't very well prepared. I didn't really have a concept in mind, and I looked ridiculous. I made a fool of myself because I wasn't sure what I was doing, and I was trying to come up with a concept live on camera. It was awful. The piece looks great. All I did was come back and add a little more paint, and paint fixes everything. So don't be scared of your paint. Don't be scared of your paint, because if you mess it up, like here, I'm giving you an example of, oh, I messed up this color scheme. You just paint over it again. It's really the answer to everything. It's just paint. So I'm kind of stippling with my brush to get into these carvings. I've got these leaf carvings up here, and this is Vintage Duck Egg. And I want to get into all the crevices. So I'm just kind of using my brush tips and digging them in there a little bit.
And what brush are you using?
This is the Dixie Belle Mini, which is my favorite brush for laying paint on. Let's talk about brushes. I like a synthetic brush for laying paint on. It gets you a really smooth coat with no brush streaks. Dixie Belle paint is also self-leveling, so the combination of the brush and the self-leveling paint gives you a beautiful finish.
I gotta say that light color covered that pretty well.
It covered it amazingly well. So I'm going to come up here and get this edge. I'm not showing you the top on camera because it's extremely difficult to show a top. You have to angle your camera down to show the top. So we're going to do the sides and the front tonight.
Oh, Kristana's on.
Hey, girl. Like, I haven't talked to you enough today. We've been chatting all day long. So I'm actually good to be live with you guys tonight. Okay, so I gave it a pretty, even coat of my medium color, which was Vintage Duck Egg. Now I chose for Yankee Blue is going to be my new darker color. So I'm going to take a brush that I'm going to dedicate just to Yankee Blue. I like to start with my medium color, and then I come back with my darker color. And then we'll hit the center just for a highlight last. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm just going to lay this paint on first. I'm not trying to blend it right away. I'm just going to lay the paint onto my piece Sorry, this is probably an area you guys can't really see. And right off the bat, I'm going to start just brushing it into that vintage duck egg. I'm using my same brush. Those colors blended beautifully together. I love this look. And then I'm going to take, and I want to, you know, kind of get this edge here. I'm just adding a little shadowing effect. And you can see that didn't stay true to the color of the Yankee blue, but it just gave me a nice little highlight around my edge. I really like that. It's really soft. I'm just using this to get that sort of shaded effect. So I'm going right over the top of my vintage duck egg, and I'm just adding, just going to add a highlight of this Yankee blue. You guys are welcome to come on and let me know if you have any questions.
Marco wants to know, do you ever get tired of painting?
Yeah,
I sure do.
I do. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. That's a really great question. I think people feel guilty because they're like, you know, I should love this all the time. I do genuinely love painting. So I know that if I'm feeling tired of it, I need to take a break. You know, I need to take a few days off, not paint, and then come back to it. And you know what I notice every time is that I feel better when I paint. Mentally, I feel more relaxed, and I think if someday that feeling goes away, then I'll know that it's time to be done painting. But I like it. It's therapeutic for me. I feel like I'm being productive. I'm creating something. So yeah, absolutely there are times I feel tired of painting. I screw up a piece and I desperately need a mental break. Take your break. Those breaks are really important, especially if you do this as more than just a hobby. Okay, so those are fairly nicely blended. I'm going to darken this up here a little bit, just along this edge.
Kristana says, like when you mean to put invisible transfers on your stuff, you need a break.
That piece looks awesome, by the way. You can make as much fun as you want. Wait till I post it. I have to put a clear coat on it, and then I'll get it posted. I totally botched a piece live on camera, you guys. It was not coming together. I did not have a plan. It looks really good. I like it. So all you naysayers out there who thought it was going to totally screw it up, I'm going to show you. Okay, so I just covered over that middle section that I had left unpainted with the vintage duck egg, and now I'm coming back with Dixie Belle Lemonade. This is my third brush, and I'm going to hit the center portion with just a little highlight of the lemonade. This is just a really soft yellow. Against the vintage duck egg, it almost looks white, but it's a little bit brighter. I really like it. It's nice, and I feel like this look compared to what we started with is a lot softer.
So when you have a second, can you show us the brushes that you actually have in use so
Yes,
you can
ma'am.
prove that you're using three?
3 brushes in use. My dark brush, my medium color, and then this is my light. I'm letting them blend on my brush. They're coming together. None of these colors are pure anymore on the brush, but that's okay. So I have 3 brushes in use right now. They're all the same type of brush, but I'm using each one for a different color. And I've got them set down here on top of the color, so I know which one goes with which.
So when a piece doesn't come together, what do you do?
I walk away from it. That piece that I messed up on the live the other night with Kristana, what was that, Kristana, Sunday? After I got done, I didn't try to keep working on it. It wasn't coming together. It just wasn't. So I just walked away from it, and I came back the next day and I looked at where I was and reassessed. Okay, what does it need to be what I want it to be? And I had a good base. I used everything that I had on there. I just needed to add a little bit more paint.
Kristana mentioned exactly what I was thinking. Burn it. When it's not working, just burn it.
That could get really expensive.
The next day is called demo day.
No, I really like it. I like that piece. It's been in my house forever. It's just this stupid little side table, but it's really cute. It has cute hardware. It's a nice quality. So no, I'm not burning it. It's cute. I want it.
So Rehab to Fab said it's because you didn't take a nap that day.
That's Stephanie. Yeah, that's true. I'm a napper, you guys. Okay, let me go back and explain what I'm doing. So I hit this center with a highlight of that lemonade. Now I'm coming back with my 4th brush that I have in use. This is going to be I'm going to call it the eraser. And that's because I'm using it to erase these transition lines. So now I'm going to come back. It's totally dry, totally clean, no paint on it. It's not damp. And I'm going to come back to where my transitions are. So where the Yankee blue and the vintage duck egg come together, I'm going to soften that out with a dry brush.
So when you're mixing your paints like this and you're blending and you go to dip your brush back in, does it compromise the paint color?
Absolutely. It absolutely does. And you know what? I don't worry about it because I paint so many pieces. I let my paint get contaminated. Some people will tell you absolutely that's a huge no-no. I don't worry about it. So, yeah, if you don't want to be dipping into your paint with a dirty brush, then you can pour it into a separate container, into a little bowl, and be painting out of that. I do paint out of my containers. Good habit or not, I do it. That's the honest answer.
Just want to say hi to 332 of your closest friends.
Oh, hey guys. No pressure, right? Okay, so this is still my eraser brush. I just dried it off on a dry rag because as I use it, it's going to start getting paint onto it. So now I'm going to take this and I'm brushing straight through my center. Straight through that highlight of lemonade. I'm going straight through it. Okay, so that was a vertical brush stroke. Now I'm going to come back with a horizontal. You want these colors to blend together as much as possible. Don't let...
That looks so much better than it did before.
Are you being sarcastic?
No.
Okay. I never know.
Of course not.
I'm my own worst critic, you guys. But yeah, I like these colors a million times better than what we had before. The closer in color your colors are that you choose, the closer in tone that they are, the easier they are to blend. The further away they are, so if you choose a dark color like in the navy and a light color like drop cloth, these are going to be tough colors to blend. But look at how close in tone Vintage Duck Egg and Yankee Blue are. Those are nice colors to blend. They're closer in color. This is just going to be subtly darker. When they're further apart, it's just harder. You know, it's more dramatic if that's the look you want.
Stephanie got me on the of course not. That's what every husband says.
Yeah, of course not.
Yep.
Did these jeans make me look fat?
Of course not.
So I like where this is. I just did that second coat. I've got nice dark colors around my edges, but it's a very soft highlight in the middle. This is going to be beautiful. I actually think I'm going to use black wax on this, you guys. So that's going to make it even more dramatic. I'm going to turn this and we're going to do the same thing on the front. So remember these, I mean, you can see what difference. Look at the difference. These are the colors we started with. This is a single coat going into a color change. It's gorgeous. That took me one coat. I was able to totally change the look of my piece, and I like the new look way better. So a color change, changing your mind on your piece, it's not a catastrophe if you mess something up. So I'm spraying this with a little bit of water, and I'm coming in with this is my Yankee Blue. The front I'm going to do a little bit differently because I'm going to highlight the drawer centers instead of doing, you know, one big highlight in the middle. Each drawer will have its own. So I'm going to blend each one separately. So I'm just doing this so I can kind of blend it and wrap it around to the side that I just did since that paint is wet. So I want this blend from going from the, you know, this side and wrapping around. I want it to be consistent. So I did that while my paint was still wet. Now I'm going to come work this through. So we're going to do each one of these drawers separately. And I'm going to start here. I'm going to mist it with some water. That's just to help my brush glide a little bit easier. And then I'm going to come around and get the Vintage Duck Egg on here. You know, if you had done this a whole bunch, seeing this new color go on top would probably be like, oh, I've totally screwed this up. What am I going to do? Just trust your gut. If something doesn't look right, my rule of thumb is if I wouldn't put it in my own home, I wouldn't put it out there for a customer.
Well, I also think you doing this has a layer of realism to it. I'm sure this happens a lot where people change their minds.
Yes. Yeah. Especially, you know, I'm doing work for customers. Customers can be fickle sometimes and, you know, think they want something and then when they see it, it's not what they had envisioned in their head.
Stephanie wants to know if I'm ready for Florida. I just don't know if Florida's ready for me.
Yeah, he's still working on his beach body.
Yeah, I've been doing that for 40 years.
Stephanie, I'm super worried about Rob. So Rob is Stephanie's husband, you guys. I'm super worried about Rob and Sean together. I think if Sean didn't have to be in dad mode while we're there, they would have a blast together. So maybe my kids are really babysitting my husband.
Yeah, they're the anchor.
Yeah.
This ship's gonna sail.
Ship's gonna sink? What? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you right. No, we're gonna have a good time, you guys. So here's the deal.
She said Rob's not coming.
What? Shut up. Are you kidding me? You better be lying. Rob is totally coming. Even if I have to bring him with me. You guys, my husband is super social. Like, I'm the introvert. I don't do people very well. That's the part of this business I struggle with the most, is the people part. My husband is everybody's best friend 5 minutes after meeting them. It's really hilarious. We're total opposites, but a good match. So I actually think Sean will have more fun in Florida than I do. We're talking about Florida because the annual Dixie Belle Retailers Conference is coming up in February. So we booked our trip. We're going to do the conference and then we're going to make a vacation out of it. So we have a house booked. We're going to do Disney World with the kids after the week after too. So I'm coming around and doing around all these door edges with my vintage decking.
Let's talk about the important stuff. Where'd you get the casters?
Oh, I have those in my Amazon shop, you guys. I'll share the link after I get off. They're awesome. I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it to tell people what I learned with them. They only work if your floor is perfectly smooth. So this is the flooring in my workspace. It doesn't have any grooves or crevices in it. In our old house, I worked in our garage, and I had the stress cracks in the concrete. And they caught on every one, and my piece would just fall off. And I hated them until we moved here. And now that I've got smooth flooring, I really like them. So evaluate your situation, but if you have any barriers in your flooring, they will want to fall off. Okay, I'm going to get off my stool because I'm going to come down and work really low here. I will come back. I'm painting all my drawers inside my piece right now.
Stephanie's filling the stress cracks in her garage.
Are you? That's interesting because you know what?
That's a good idea.
When we poured, this is a new house, we built this house, when we poured this garage, we eliminated the stress cracks from the concrete. We had them pour the concrete, they cut the stress cracks, and then they covered them with the cream of the concrete. So it's still cracked, it just cracked in fingernail thin lines along where it was supposed to.
Yeah, so they weren't eliminated. It's just as the concrete dries, the cream comes to the top, and that's what filled the cracks. So the cracks are still, the voids, if you will, are still there, but they're somewhat filled. So
we did that for the purpose of being able to roll furniture across them, because if you have stress cracks in your concrete, no matter what you have, the wheels get stuck in it. Okay, so now I've got my vintage duck egg down. Now I've got nice coverage with my vintage duck egg. I left this little cutout in the center here because I'm going to put my highlight in there anyways. It covered up that in the navy, that darker color we had on there. And now I'm going to come back with my darker color, which is Yankee blue. I'm keeping my surface wet just to lubricate my paint. Lets my brush glide on a little bit easier.
Will you be doing any lives at the conference?
Oh, you know what? Probably not. I expect the conference to be kind of a whirlwind, you guys. It's 2 days of classes every hour. I expect it's going to be a whirlwind. But I'm going to try to be on social media whenever I can. So 2 days of classes every hour is not going to really be conducive to being live. But I will share as much as I possibly can in photos. And if there is time for videos, great. But I'm not anticipating that.
So now back to your piece, as far as painting with the drawers in. Do you always paint with the drawers in?
If I'm doing a solid color finish, no, I will take them out. So for example, that piece I showed you earlier with the dark color on it, the coffee bean, all the drawers are taken out. This one it's in for two reasons. It's in because it's really hard for me to take a drawer out and paint it outside, so the cabinet's holding it so I can show you the paint technique. But I always will pull my drawers out and paint around the edges. So it's in there because to hold the drawer for me, and it's also in there so I can get a consistent look among all my drawers, and then I'll take them out and touch it up. So it's more important for me to make sure my paint is consistent right now. And I can touch up inside the drawers after I'm done here. And I do that every time. So they may be in right now, but they're not going to stay in. I'm gonna touch them up. Okay, so I did my bottom in the Yankee blue. Now I'm going to come and we're going to do each drawer separately. So let's start with this one. I'm just going to hit just along the edge here with the Yankee blue. I just want to add this little highlight. And I'm getting it over here onto this paint, and that's okay. Just work slow, work on one section at a time. Don't try to be doing, paying attention to this and this. Separate it into smaller sections and just work one section at a time.
So once again, this is being done because you're blending. So are you okay if I turn and show the with the drawers out to the left?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Here, this is just for...
This is my workspace, you guys, and I push that one out of the way to the side.
Sorry, it gets a little shaky. Solid color, drawers come out.
You can see I pulled all the drawers out. I painted all the drawers individually. I painted inside the drawer boxes. This will get, I'm sorry, not the drawer boxes, the drawer frames. This will get the same thing, but I'm going to blend it first across the front. Okay, so I've got my Yankee blue laid out around the edges. Now I want to blend it into that vintage duck egg on just this one drawer. We're just going to pay attention to one at a time. So I'm going to come back with my brush for the vintage duck egg. And I'm going to soften that transition between the Yankee blue. Letting my colors mix on my piece.
Stacy wants to know how you don't get little specks of paint on your floor.
I do.
Should I do close-ups?
Yeah, show them the floor. I do. I don't paint my living room. This is my workspace, you guys. This is in my garage. I have the third bay of my garage.
So I realized because of the angle, you may not be able to see clearly, but you can definitely see the paint gets on the floor.
There's paint all over the floor. If I want to clean it, I can. I've tried to before, and if it's thick spots, I can just scrape it with a razor blade and it pops right off. Or it's water-based paint, so it's not sealed. I can wash it. If I get it wet and let it sit for a minute, it will reactivate that paint, and I can wash it. But this is my workspace. We laid flooring in it with the expectation that it would get dirty. So I really don't worry about it. I keep my staging space clear of paint, and the rest of it, not so much. All right, so I've got two colors on here now. Now I'm going to take my neutral brush, my eraser, and I'm going to get rid of those transitions between the two. And I just go over them softly, and that's it. I mean, that was relatively simple. I like that look. So now I feel like I'm ready for my highlight in the center of the drawer. So I'm going to take my lemonade, and I'm going to fill this in. It's a little dry. Hit it with a little bit of water. If your brush starts sticking, if you notice your brush is sticking, just add a little bit of water.
So Lisa wants to know how many colors you've used on this piece.
Now I'm at.
Well, okay, so the first 3, right?
Yeah.
And then we're recoding over that.
Yeah, but you know what? I had changed one of the first colors too. So there's going to be several color pieces on there. There was a color change because I started with driftwood, and there wasn't enough contrast, so I changed that to drop cloth. Change your colors. It's not a big deal to get to where you want. I think that's so now I'm going to take this and I'm going to brush vertically through the whole piece. This is my neutral brush. So it's kind of choppy. I've got a lot of brush strokes in there. Now when I come back and go...
Here, hold on a minute. That's my singing voice.
I can't see...
It was blurry, so I was trying to...
Oh, I can't see this edge over here quite as well. So
it also might be the paint blending. Here, let me see if I can cut over this way. Let's see if that works.
So now I'm kind of evaluating the drawer as a whole. Some strokes there I want to get rid of.
Here, hold on. Try that.
Okay, so overall, I think this top drawer, you can turn the Wi-Fi on too, if it gets too bad.
Very bad picture. I must be on camera. Okay. Okay,
We're gonna try connecting to my Wi-Fi.
Kick the Wi-Fi on. Let me know how that goes. Oh, that's, yeah, try that.
Is that better?
Gary said your phone is drunk.
It wishes.
Yeah.
Oh, Gary. Gary's another one, like Gary, Rob.
I think
Sean.
it's just straight up signal. It's not.
Just signal. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Wi-Fi didn't make it any
The
better?
Wi-Fi didn't help me.
Okay.
All right. Let's try this.
How we doing? I'm just doing my thing over here. I don't know if anybody's watching or not.
Are we good? I just don't want any violence.
So I'm going to show you guys the natural bristle brush, using that for my eraser. I've been using the synthetic, but now we'll come back and try it with a natural bristle. And it works really great too. So if you have a natural bristle brush instead of the oval medium, that works great. Oh, I got a brush here in my piece. Another one. So I'm just using this to soften the transition in between the vintage duck egg and the
Yeah, it's got to be a signal thing, because everybody's talking about how it's cutting in and out on their end. That's not.
Okay.
It's not us. So
Stop messing with
yeah.
it. You can try going in and out and see if that helps. Get a better connection. Otherwise, this will be available on replay, you guys. You can catch it on replay as well. Okay, now I'm going to come through and I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to brush just like we did before. I'm going to go vertical. And then I'm going to go horizontal. And I'm trying to keep my brush clean. It's not going to be perfectly clean, but I want to keep it clean and dry and free of paint. So I have this rag and I just keep, taking off any paint that I can. And then I'm going to go horizontal. How's that look?
I just think it's tough to capture your blending.
Yeah, the
so
wet,
light
the wet paint,
yeah,
and it's very subtle. But I think, the more subtle comes out with a softer look. If I can tell where one color transitions into another, then I have not blended it well enough. So you don't want to see, I don't want to see each individual color. I want them to all look like it's just one color with some highlights in it. And any areas where I can see those transitions, it's not super smooth, I will just keep working them with this dry brush. So I like this middle drawer. Now we're going to come down to the bottom. Can you see the bottom drawer okay?
Yes.
Okay. It's just repeating the same process. You saw I did it in the larger area on the side. Now I'm doing it in these smaller areas on the front. So this is my Dixie Belle Lemonade. You guys, once again, like and share this post. Like my page at Brush by Brandy and share this post. And at the end of the broadcast, which is coming up, we're going to give away some Dixie Belle paint.
What colors are you using for this?
I have Yankee Blue is my darkest color. Vintage Duck Egg is my medium. And then Dixie Belle Lemonade is my lightest color. And I really like this color combination. When I asked you guys what technique you wanted me to teach, this blended technique was the choice. And this is very similar to the piece I showed on the poll for that question. It's a blue, a soft blue with green undertones and a yellow. So blue, green, yellow, just like that piece was. Only this is a much softer, more feminine color combination. So I've got my highlight of Lemonade in there. I'm going to come back and brush it vertically.
Oh, Kimberly Lewis. Shingle Springs. Fellow Shingle Springs painter.
Hi. So I brushed it vertically. Now I'm coming back. I'm keeping my brush clean and dry as much as I can. And then coming back and brushing it horizontally.
The picture has been clearing up.
Good. Thank you guys. I'm sorry. We're out on 5 acres. I live out on 5 acres. And weather contributes a lot to that too. So between my location and the weather, sometimes you never know. And it's been raining here. I'm in California. It's been raining. So now I'm coming back. I did it opposite on this. I don't think it really matters. I usually like to do my dark and then I come back and add my highlight. I did this one backwards and that's okay. Doesn't really make a difference. It's just personal preference. I usually prefer to do the darker, the low light, and then come back and do my highlight. In this case, I did my highlight and now I'm doing the low light. So a low light would be adding a darker color for shading, and a highlight is adding a lighter color. You know, I always relate it to ladies going and getting our hair done, and you can get a darker color added to your hair, which are low lights, or lighter color, which are highlights. Okay, so I've got the Yankee blue laid onto my piece. I'm going to carry a little bit onto these edges here. I want those to be a little darker. And now I'm going to come back with my neutral brush, keeping it dry. And I'm going to brush those together until I don't see where one color starts and the other stops. It's okay if I'm getting it up onto this middle section here because I want to keep these transitions nice and smooth too. I actually like that little highlight on the edges of this center, so I might come and darken these up a little bit too so they all match. Yeah, I'm going to do that because I actually like that little bit of low light right on the edges of my drawer. So I just hit my brush with barely any paint, and I'm just going to come back and add some darker paint in here, and I'll blend this in and do both of these. So I explained this in the beginning of this broadcast, but I'm doing this piece from start to finish. So last week we did prep, and our prep work on this piece included cleaning it well with Dixie Belle White Lightning, and then just applying our base coat. It was in relatively good condition. And then we applied a base coat of paint. This is my second coat of paint. So next week, we are going to come back and I'm going to play with waxes. So I'm going to add some clear coat, and then we're going to do some additional shading, adding depth with waxes. So you can use wax as for protection, but you can also use it for decorative finishes. And I'm going to use waxes decoratively on this piece. So if you want to see what that next tip is, join me next week as well. Same time, live on the Dixie Belle page every Thursday in January at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to be working the same piece.
Can you just do a quick recap of what you've done since you got the piece, like prepping it up to this point?
Well, like I said, my prep consisted of cleaning the piece well with Dixie Belle White Lightning. I did not do any sanding. My piece was in good condition. I didn't have any rough spots. So it didn't require any sanding. And then I applied my base coat. This piece required relatively little little preparation. You need to really evaluate your piece personally. There is no one size fits all answer for prep. You need to evaluate your piece and decide what it needs. Some pieces will need priming with Dixie Belle Boss is a stain blocking primer, or Dixie Belle Slick Stick is a gripping primer. And you can evaluate your piece and decide if you need that. This piece did not. It was relatively modern. I wasn't worried about it bleeding through. So I just highlighted this edge here with a little bit of vintage duck egg. I'm going to highlight, let's see, how do I want to do these? You kind of have to decide where you want your paint blends to be. So I'm going to hit those with a little bit of lemonade. I'll hit this one with a little bit of lemonade. Really want this leaf detail to kind of stand out. It's really pretty. And then I'm going to come back with my vintage duck egg. And add a little bit of that, blend that into the lemonade. I'm digging it into all the crevices on these leaves here. Kind of use a stippling motion to get it into the crevices. And then I'm coming back with my Yankee blue. My Yankee Blue brush has a little bit of the vintage duck egg on it, and that's okay because I want them to blend together anyways. If you want your color to stay true, I could keep going back and adding the Yankee Blue where I want it to be true. So I like that. I'm going to refine that a little bit. You'll see in a minute. I'm going to darken up this corner here. I'm going to darken up the corner of the piece and this little leaf itself. So what do you think? I think it's really pretty.
I agree. Looks nice.
So now I'm going to take my neutral brush, my eraser, and I'm cleaning and drying it, and then I'm going to take it and work these paint colors together.
Melanie says she started watching your videos a couple of months ago, got addicted. Now her garage is full of furniture. It's your fault.
I want to apologize to Melanie's husband. Melanie's husband, I'm sincerely sorry. Yeah, that's the addiction. I'm sorry, you caught it. It's my job to spread addiction to paint, you guys. So let's welcome Melanie, you guys, to our support group. This is the support group for that problem. I at least will teach you what to do with all that furniture now that you've got it. It's fun. I really enjoy this. I feel really lucky to be able to do what I do. To be able to come on and teach you guys. I really have the best customers and the best following. Like, I just love interacting with you guys. Some of you have become friends. So the painting community is a small community, and it's a really supportive one too. So I don't know. I'm always happy to be part of it. So now I'm coming up here, and I'm gonna.
What's that brush you're using?
This is my neutral brush again. You'll see every time I get out this oval medium. Let me show you guys my brushes again. I'm working with 4 brushes total. One for my dark, my medium color, and my light, and then my neutral brush, my eraser. So I'm going to refine this top edge here. I like where the bottom is, and I'll get that side. I'll do that side I can't reach off camera probably. I'm going to wet this up here and blend out this top section. So I want this to be darker. So it's going to be heavier on the Yankee Blue.
So do you paint the back of your pieces?
I do not. I wrote a blog post on that, you guys. It's on my website at brushedbybrandy.com. I wrote a blog post on that because that's a question people ask all the time. And I gave you my top 3 reasons why I don't. That was actually a really popular blog post too. So you can go to my website at brushedbybrandy.com and read that whole post. But I think it will really help you guys to understand the reasoning behind why I don't. It also talks about how I label my pieces. How I identify them as my work, but no, I do not. So I'm using my piece as a palette. It already has the vintage duck egg on it, and I have Yankee Blue on my brush. I'm blending them on my piece and mixing those colors. So the color I end up with is going to be somewhere in the middle of the two. Oh my gosh, I've been on for a really long time. I will wrap this up and let you guys get back to your families. So from here, I'm going to pull these drawers out. Let me show you guys this really quick before you get off. Okay, so I don't have any hardware on. So from here, I will pull these drawers out. I'm just going to stick a screwdriver in the drawer hole. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to set that aside. And here, I want to look around the edges of my piece here, and I'm going to touch all this up too. While I still have my brushes out, they have all the right colors on them. I like to look at my piece and think, what are edge areas that a customer might see? I don't ever want my customer to be, laying on their bedroom floor and catch the underside of their piece and see that I missed, a whole bunch of it. So I paint inside my drawer boxes here. This is the part we usually do after we get off camera. I paint around the edges of my drawers. So these here, I blend them into the body. Got a little bit on my drawer, so I'm just going to do a little touch up. Blend that touch up in. So I will touch up around the edges of my drawer box, and then I will take my drawer itself and I will hit the edges like this. Okay, so there's that edge. Let's try and do this top edge here. I just kind of dab at them a little bit. You can go horizontally too, but then you can accidentally get brush strokes onto the front of your piece. So I usually just dab at it horizontally. And this is easy to do while you have your brushes out. I don't usually let my paint dry and then come back. I try to do this while my paint is still wet and I have all my brushes out and I get these edges too. So they match with the colors that are on the front of my piece. So now the outside of my drawers are perfectly painted. This edge looks nice and finished. And I come down here and I'm going to do this bottom edge too. I just want my drawer to look nice and finished. And I'm able to see my piece from a different angle, and I see that there's a little spot here that didn't get paint on it under this trim. So this is also a good time to look over your paint, look at your piece from different angles, and see if there's anything you need to touch up. And that looks much better. All right, you guys done with me yet? All right, so this was our second coat. Next week, we're going to come back with the same exact piece. My commitment is that I will not paint this piece off of camera. Everything I do will be on camera with you guys, every step, until we get to our finished look. And then at the end of the month, you'll have a start to finish tutorial on this look. So next week, we're going to come back and we're going to top coat this, and then I'm going to add some waxes for additional detail to this to also add some depth. So, do you guys want to win some paint? Who shared this post and liked my page at Brush by Brandy? Anybody?
And then went to my page.
Yeah. No.
What?
Yeah. No. You guys don't want my husband to get a page, trust me. I'm going to come give away some paint. So I'm coming over, I'm going to pick a winner. Ooh, it looks pretty on camera. Now sometimes I use my camera or my phone as a mirror too. All right. All right, you guys, I have a winner. You guys ready? If you shared this post and liked my page at Brush by Brandy, my winner tonight is Debbie Olszewski. Did I say that right? Debbie Olszewski? I try to pronounce it right. Congratulations, Debbie. You won an 8 ounce of Dixie Belle paint. That's this size here. The 8 ounce of Dixie Belle paint with the coverage that Dixie Belle gets, as you saw me do as we were covering this other color tonight, you can get a full-size dresser with 2 coats out of an 8 ounce of Dixie Belle paint. This is amazing. And this costs about, between $10 and $12, depending on if you find it at any one of the nationwide Dixie Belle retailers or online as well.
She said it was close.
I would ask you to fix it for me, but I can't hear you, so I hope I got it close. But congratulations, Debbie. At least you know who I'm talking about. It's you. Message me on my page at Brush by Brandy, and I'll get all your information that I need from you.